And now, from the Room 111 studios, it's Hacking Engagement with James Sternovic.
Well, hey there, listener, and welcome back to the Hacking Engagement podcast. I'm so glad you're here. The boys are back in town. The boys are back. Does anybody remember that cheesy 1970s pop song, The Boys Are Back in Town? Well, I'm singing that today because the kids are back in town. That's right, I'm back in school, and I got the kids back on. And one thing that makes me feel good about that, I was reading a review recently of my podcast, and the reviewer was talking about how refreshing it was to have student voices. Well, I got some more of our famous original sources today. I have two fabulous female freshmen. I've got Arielle Brown, and I've got her buddy, Ashlynn Hathaway, and they're here to lay some knowledge on you. But before they lay some knowledge on you, I have to read you a sentence. When I was in high school, I would have laughed uproariously if anyone had informed me that I was destined to be a teacher. Well, guess what, man? That's a pretty accurate sentence. I like that sentence. I like the way it flows. It's very honest. It's 24 words. That's why I read it to you, man. It's 24 words. 24 words. And so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to have these wonderful students talk about how I laid the 15-word gauntlet on them and how challenging that was for them and how liberating it was for their audience and how much it improved their presentations. The 15-word gauntlet in this case was students were limited to just 15 words on each slide of their Google slide presentation. Now, you might be wondering why 15 words. Well, I did a little research, and 15 words is the average length of a sentence. So my sentence was kind of long in that regard. But this episode is like a Russian nesting doll. There's actually a smaller hack inside the larger hack. Because not only am I going to ask you to impose the 15-word gauntlet on your students, but I'm also going to ask you to experiment with having students present to one another utilizing Pear Deck. And when you hear these young ladies talk about it, I'll bet you're going to give it a try. Buckle up, man. You're going to love this episode. Hey, so get this, listener. My publisher contacts me and says, I love the way Hacking Engagement is selling. How about doing 50 more? I was all over it like a cheap suit. So the name of the book is Hacking Engagement Again, 50 Teacher Tools That Will Make Students Love Your Class. And it's going to be available on Amazon's virtual shelves in the late summer of 2017. In the meantime, if you're looking for more teacher empowerment resources, as always, visit hacklearning.org. Now let's get back to the solutions part of the Hacking Engagement podcast. So here we are, man. We're back. And not only am I back, but the kids are back, baby. The students are back. I have commandeered two wonderful young women from study hall. They were down there studying for a test. I said, no, you're not going to do that anymore. You're going to come talk to me on my podcast. And so I kidnapped them from study hall, and I'm forcing them. No, I didn't do any of that stuff. They volunteered. And so what I have is I have Arielle on my left. Say hello, Arielle.
Hello.
Beautiful. And I've got Ashlynn on my right. Say hello, Ashlynn.
Hi.
Beautiful. Even better. So these are two young women that are freshmen. You guys 14, 15 years old, roughly? 14. But I want to tell you something, man. They're going places. I've known them for a grand total of a month. And they've made this really positive impression on me. And I knew I had to get some students on my podcast. These were the first two I thought of. So you guys should be honored, man.
Thank you. I feel honored. So honored.
So you know what it's like if you've listened to my podcast at all. I don't let these kids off the hook. I make them project themselves into the future. So let's say they're 14, 15 years old. Let's go all the way up to when they're 28 years old, and they're going to their 10-year high school reunion. And Mr. Sturtevant's there. He's got a walker. He's got oxygen and all that because he's getting a little long in the tooth. I walk up to these young ladies, and I ask them what they're doing, and then they're going to talk about that right now. And I'm going to start out with Arielle because she's on my left, but I'm not going to call her Arielle. I'm going to call her by their Sturtevant nickname, which is Moreno. So I'm going to come up to you, Moreno. You're 28 years old, and I say, what's up? How are you going to respond?
I'm going to say probably that I'm living in Tennessee, because that's where I want to be.
Okay.
I'll have a husband by then, hopefully, and 2 girls named Jessie and Anna. That's my dream life.
I want to tell you something. You have it down.
Yeah, I've got it.
I mean, you've got the gender of the offspring and
yes.
the names. I don't take it the husband's going to have a lot of say in that.
No.
What's he going to be doing for a living?
Me, I'll probably, I don't know, I kind of want to be a lawyer, but I haven't really decided yet.
Yeah. You know what you need to do this year? You need to be in mock trial. Have you thought of that?
No.
Because it's good practice on being a lawyer.
My dad's a lawyer, and my brother does mock trial, and I go to it sometimes.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't.
What's good practice?
Yeah, it's good practice.
All right, and then why Tennessee?
That's my favorite softball team. Tennessee University. I love their softball program, so I've just always wanted to go there.
So you want to be a volunteer?
Yes.
And you want to wear those beautiful orange shirts?
Yes. Orange is my favorite color.
With a light blue trim, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And that's opposite sides of the color wheel.
I know. That's my favorite color combination, too.
Okay, that's wonderful. So now we're going to go over to Ashlynn, and I'm not going to call Ashlynn. I'm going to call her by her Sturdivant nickname, which is The University. That's a great nickname. So tell me about yourself when you're 28.
So I'll be living in Seattle, Washington, probably.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to have a husband and a boy and a girl. And the boy's name, his name is going to be Dempsey. And the girl's name is probably Allison.
Okay, time out. Before she says anything else, any 15, 14-year-old guy that ends up with either of these 2 women, forget about naming your offspring. They've got that planned out. What are you going to be doing in Seattle?
I'm going to be a surgeon.
Wow, like the television show. What's that television show?
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy? You like Grey's Anatomy?
I love Grey's Anatomy.
So is that why you're interested in Seattle?
Well, yeah, but I also, when I went there this summer, I really liked it.
Yeah, well traveled, man. That's perfect. Okay, ladies, you guys sound like you got great futures. I'm quite certain that you'll achieve everything you plan to. But I brought you in here today to talk about something we did in class. I'd like to talk about trying to get kids to be more engaging with classmates when they present. And so what I did was I set up this little assignment for them in which they were going to practice these skills of engaging presentations. So I'm going to turn it over to these young ladies. Let's talk about, what was this lesson prompt?
We had to write a presentation about the different kinds of government, like constitutional monarchy, theocracy, democracy.
Which one did you have?
I had constitutional monarchy.
Okay. Now, hold on 1 second. Which one did you have, Moreno?
I had theocracy.
So each kid had a different political system that they had to research, correct?
Yeah.
Go a little further. What else?
We had to have an interesting picture on each slide.
So you had to put on an interesting picture, but Mr. Sturman was pretty adamant that you couldn't do something on a slide. Do you guys remember what that was?
Yeah, you couldn't go over 15 words per slide.
Now, was that a challenge?
Yeah, it was a little bit. It was, because most classes, all the teachers want you to go super in depth and put all these adjectives before everything. So it was just different.
Well, Mr. Sturman wants you to go in depth. But,
yeah.
But not with text, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was the option to putting a lot of information on a slide?
The pictures.
The pictures, so you had to tell a story. So we're going to set this up so they're limited to 15 words per slide. Do either of you have any idea why Mr. Sturman chose 15 words?
No.
It's the average length of a sentence. I looked it up online. I was amazed. It's really not many words. It's almost like a tweet or something like that. So we had 15 words max, and then we had to put beautiful images on there. Was it challenging?
It was challenging. I thought it was going to be really easy at first, and I would be able to do it in 5 minutes. But I'd write stuff on the slide, and I'd have 30 words, and then I would go back to shorten it, and it would just be harder to do.
Okay, so we have these images, and we have this 15 words. What were some of the ideas you had about the images? Like how did you search on the images? What were some of the things that you put in?
At first, I just looked up theocracy.
Right.
Yeah, and then just clicked on Google Images, and then I don't know. I would just look at what I wrote, and then.
That's beautiful. So in other words, you didn't just go make 5 slides with 5 pictures of theocracy.
Yeah.
You tried to tell a little bit of a story you tried to start that story out with a compelling image, like someone who was watching it might think, I wonder why she has a picture of a hammer on there.
Yeah.
And then you'd explain that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a challenge, wouldn't you say? So now we're going to add one more factor to this, one more layer to this. You guys have probably been in presentations that took day after day after day. And it got a little boring to listen to some of your classmates talk about the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
You've had that experience.
Yeah.
I think teachers have had that experience. So we did something a little bit different. You probably heard my episode a few back on Pear Deck, which is an interactive presentation tool. So we formed small groups where every student had one of the topics. And then what do we do with Pear Deck? When you ladies explain it.
So we utilize Pear Deck by, instead of having everyone look at one Chromebook or just the smartboard in the middle of the class, we all had it on our computer, and each person had their own thing to look at instead of having to have a small screen that they had to look at.
So you had, say, 4 kids in your group, and you're presenting to them, but they're just staring at their Chromebook or their phone while you're talking about these images, and they could see them a lot better. And you could describe those images a lot better to them. Did you find that process better than the old way?
It went a lot faster, and
Yeah.
people were able to ask questions more easily because it was a smaller group. And
So we talked about what it was like to create these presentations. Now think about it from the standpoint of witnessing it. You're in a small group, and you have your Chromebook open, and you're looking at this kid, your classmate's presentation go in front of you. Did you find that to be a better way to witness a presentation as opposed to a whole class situation?
I thought so, because usually you hear the same thing over and over again
Right.
when they just present in front of the whole class, and it's so boring. but when you just get one each time, like a different topic on each presentation, it's a lot easier to pay attention and be engaged with it.
I was hoping you'd say that. Now here's a question, and guys, answer however you want. Since doing this assignment, are you kind of tuned in a little bit to how much text you see on the slide now on a presentation?
Yeah.
Are you inclined to maybe use less text?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe put on more images?
I thought a cool thing with using less text is that the person presenting or I would have to know my topic better, so I couldn't just copy and paste Wikipedia on it and just read it off the screen. So only using 10 to 15 words, you really have to know your topic to tell the story.
That's beautiful. Now, have you guys ever had an experience where you're in a class and a kid's presenting and they have a paragraph of text?
Yeah.
And they turn around and actually read it?
Yeah, that
Yes,
happened
it's
to me in health last week when we had to present our slides about us.
Yeah.
There was paragraphs about everything we had, and they would just read the paragraphs, and we're like, if you want to explain it, we could read it ourselves.
No
So you have to
kidding. No
explain it
kidding.
to us.
I have to tell you something, man. Teachers are bad about this too. They're terrible. And I used to be bad about it until I started researching this and the power of just having limited text. That's wonderful. Now, ladies, this is your last chance. This is a chance for you to be the teachers, for you to give advice to people like Mr. Sturdivant or anybody out there who's a teacher who wants to improve student presentations. What's one piece of advice? We're going to start out with Moreno. Hit it.
Okay, I would say, I don't know, try different things. So I really like the Pear Deck and using limited words per slide, but that wouldn't work for everybody.
No.
So using different websites and all different kinds of things, it would make it just more engaging for all the class, for everyone.
Beautiful. Go ahead, University.
I would make it that if you're a teacher that gives notes and makes kids write stuff down, I would make it that you make stuff that has more hands-on activities,
Very
because
good.
kids like that better than just having to write stuff down and memorize it.
Word. That's beautiful. Well, guys, I just love you coming in. Thank you so much. I am going to send them back to study hall so they can actually do something productive with the rest of study hall. Say goodbye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
That's perfect. You guys did great. So here we are at the What You Can Do Tomorrow section, and we're going to replace a lot of words with some beautiful images. Doesn't that sound better? So we can do a lot to set this up, and I have some great ideas for you. The first thing you want to do is direct students to create one-sentence descriptions of themselves. This is a hilarious activity. After a few minutes, have kids count words in their one-sentence descriptive masterpieces. Now create a 15-word Berlin Wall or 15-word 38th parallel in your room, maybe a piece of masking tape across the center of the room on the floor. Direct students whose descriptive sentences are longer than 15 words to stand on one side of the tape, and those with less than 15 words to stand on the other. Those who have exactly 15 words, and there might not be any, can straddle the tape, straddle the stripe, right down Broadway. Display 15-word examples on the board. Praise students who hit the 15-word mark exactly, and write their sentences on the board for the whole world to see. Tell students that this is the perfect sentence length. If you don't have any students who wrote exactly 15 words, choose a student who was close. Also, display the longest and the shortest sentences. Direct the student who created the longest sentence and the student who created the shortest to write their sentences on the board, and discuss how adjusting the length of these examples could improve them. And then finally, inform students about this wonderful 15-word maximum for the next presentation. Discuss the positives and negatives of this directive, and also talk about images and how you can replace all those words with wonderful images. Hey, when you limit the amount of text on a slide, you will instantaneously ignite storytelling ability in your students. Good luck tomorrow engaging your kids.
Show notes for this episode can be found at jamesallensturdivant.com. If you enjoy Hacking Engagement, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes.